Peter Edwards, Prime Minister there, with a lot of enthusiasm and gusto for his policy. The right thing to do, he repeats twice. Is it?
Well, there's Boris Johnson out there cheering a tax rise. It's a regressive tax rise, so that means it hits people on lower incomes more than people earning a higher sum. It's a punch in the guts for any household going through cost of living crisis, which is enormous. And it's not even going on social care. It's just going on supporting some of the underfunding of the NHS after COVID. But the reason year one of this new tax is being diverted to NHS waiting lists is because of a decade or more of underfunding of the NHS.
And also because of massive lockdowns that battered the NHS. Lee Jones, your thoughts?
I think most of that is not correct, as I understand it. So normally it would be true that raising national insurance rates would be a regressive way to raise tax. That means that poorer people would pay more as a proportion of their income than rich people. But you've got to remember that this increase in the national insurance rate that's happening now is being followed in July in an increase in the threshold at which you pay national insurance. So the result will be that anyone earning less than £35,000 a year will see a fall in national insurance contributions this financial year. So the overall revenue that will be raised will be nearly 11 billion, and 5.4 billion of this will be spent on social care. So it's also not true to say that none of it's going on social care. My view is that you don't have to tax incomes to fund social care. You can actually just create money to do it. So it's not necessary to do it, but it is necessary to fund social care. There is a social care funding crisis in this country. This is the way they've chosen to do it. The result of it won't actually be regressive. So I think at least they're doing something to tackle what is a looming crisis for our elderly population.
I don't accept that at all. I think it is regressive. Do you think poorer people will be better off or worse off as a result?
Well, he's just said, when it comes specifically to national insurance, if you earn less than 35 grand, you'll be better off when we talk exclusively about national insurance.
Well, I don't think you can say it definitively because we don't know what inflation is going to be next month or next month. But we do know that inflation is raging and inflation is not going to drop back to zero.
Yeah, but come on, we can't live in a magical land basing everything on what's the future going to hold. If you look at the rates as they stand today, with the thresholds as they stand today, as Lee's just said, below 34, I think it is, better off. More than 34, worse off. Lucy, your thoughts?
My thoughts basically, I think, would have to be on some of the comments that Sajid David made about how much money is going to be collected and how we actually develop and find the funding for those sort of holes that have been created by COVID and that £250 billion that's been spent on COVID longer term. The issues that I find of particular interest is he said that, yes, you can only do this through borrowing and raising taxes, but ultimately the issue here is not, how, but when. And that's my biggest point here is that are we really in a position to be able to afford it right now? Can we push it back? Can we make sure that we reduce tax in the short term to stimulate growth, to be able to rise the GDP of ordinary people, to increase the income of ordinary people, and then perhaps introduce other taxation at a later date? Although personally, I don't think any taxation is the appropriate way to go forward, but instead to rejuvenate and to stimulate that economy to make sure that we can afford some of the holes that have been created by COVID.